But everybody, welcome. This is the Netcapital Advisors webinar. We'll be starting shortly. We're waiting for our fourth panelist, and we're waiting for people to trickle in. And as the number starts to grow, well, I can't believe it's June 30th. We're on the eve of the, I guess, the beginning of the third quarter. How could that be? It's crazy. It's super crazy. But looks like life is opening up, which is wonderful. We still don't have Evelyn. All right, well, you know what? I think I'm going to just get started to be fair to our participants. And I wanted to welcome everybody to the Netcapital Advisors webinar series on women in private equity. It's such an honor to facilitate these panels on topics we have found to be both provocative and important, and to provide an open and welcome discussion around them. Today's topic is how to deal with that two-letter word, N-O, no. That word that can feel like a dagger in your heart, or that creates a disappointment that could derail your dreams. We have all dealt with it, sometimes gracefully, and sometimes like a hot mess. As founders, investors, sellers, buyers, women, men, the word is charged. And the feeling of rejection is, let's face it, generally not fun. But what if no is really a green light? What if no is really an opportunity? What if we can reframe no? Changing our perspective can change how we feel. Sorry, I just lost track of my notes here. Apologize. Anyhow, I'm just going to go off notes. So our four rockstar panelists are here today to tackle no. See, I just created a pivot for myself. We're going to tackle no to the ground by both speaking openly about it and offering examples of how their no's were yeses in disguise, as well as some tips on how to navigate through a rejection. But before I introduce you to them, I want to introduce you all to me and to Netcapital. I'm Carol Mirko. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer of Netcapital Inc. and Netcapital Advisors. We are a 3-women C-suite with Cecilia Link as our CEO and Corrine Chrysler, our CFO. Cecilia is not able to join us today, but Corrine is here. She's on our panel, and she'll be joining us at the end with some closing remarks. What I want to say, though, it's just amazing to be part of a all-women C-suite, and I love it that we all have names that begin with C, so it's kind of fun. But we really get to do it our way, right? To pave a different path, and probably as a result of a lot of the no's that we experienced. Netcapital Inc. is a digital private equity ecosystem focused on democratizing the private equity markets. Our company has its roots in the Jobs Act, which was passed in 2012, and its intention was job creation. As you might all remember, 2008, 2009, we had the financial meltdown, and jobs creation were top of mind. And so by loosening some SEC regulations, it created the opportunity for small business funding, and specifically, it's a regulation called Regulation CF, and our netcapital.com is a digital equity funding portal, which is SEC registered under Regulation CF, which allows non-accredited investors to invest up to $5 million in private equity. And by the way, until 2016, this is an asset class that non-accredited investors could not access. And by the way, if you are an accredited investor, you can also invest through the platform. So I wanted to make sure that you didn't think it was just for non-accredited. Netcapital Advisors is part of the ecosystem by providing consultant services to entrepreneurs as they prepare to raise capital on the Netcapital platform. We also incubate companies and provide valuable investor introductions. Netcapital Inc. is publicly traded on the OTC as NCPL. Like I mentioned, Cecilia, Corinne, and I are here to celebrate, promote, and support women in private equity. Our webinars are designed to foster open conversations and discussions about topics that are relevant to us as women business leaders. So without further ado, I would like to, and just make sure I have a couple of things, make sure that we're going to be posting in the chat as I'm introducing the panelists, so that you could check out their websites, you can connect with them on LinkedIn or whatever. But we just, those will be showing up in the chat, so you don't have to worry about how to contact or how to spell anybody's name. I'm going to, looks like Evelyn's still not here, so I am going to, I'll introduce her last, and hopefully she shows up. So we'll start with Jessica Mccall. Not only is she an amazing author, she's also affiliated with Smith College. And so when we had come up with this idea of the topic of rejection and dealing with no's, particularly if you think about founders looking for money, raising capital. I mean, it's basically a no minefield, right? And so I was perusing through the Smith College Alumni Quarterly, because I went to Smith, and they're, like the universe lining up. There was a little blurb about Jessica and her book, and I think this is going to show up backwards because I don't have my camera the right way, but it's the rejection that changed my life. And so this is the book that she's recently published. And as you all know, if you signed up for the webinar, you are eligible to be drawn from our end of the webinar raffle, and her publisher will be sending you a copy if you're one of 3 lucky winners. Anyway, Evelyn is still not here, so let me just see what's going on. I don't see any information on Evelyn yet. So Jess, her affiliation with Smith College is she runs the Narratives Project, which is a program to help students explore identity and find resilience in community. And before her career in higher ed, she was an elementary school teacher in New York City, and then a curriculum developer and consultant. So welcome, Jess. I'm so happy you're here. So happy that I stumbled upon you, and we look forward to hearing from you. Next is Jovanka. She's a certified wellness expert. She's Afro-Latinx, former entertainment executive turned certified wellness coach, herbalist, nutrition educator, and author from Puerto Rico. She's the founder of Solana, an herbal supplement line for digestive health, and the creator of Reclaiming Wellness Initiative, aiming at educating Black, Indigenous, people of color communities on the power of herbal medicine and plant-based living for their healing journey. When Jovanka and I connected, we just, we had so many overlapping interests, particularly herbalism and health. So I'm just loving that you're here. And she's in the midst of editing her book that's going to be coming out next spring, called Reclaiming Wellness. So congratulations to you on that. And we have Maya Komarov. She's the founder and CEO of Cinch and ShopIn.nyc. And with her newest venture, which we'll just touch on a little bit. From my point of view, Maya has what we hope is the Amazon killer in the making. She's an entrepreneur and a CEO with extensive experience in establishing, building, and initiating full stage growth companies. She previously spent, let's see, believe it or not, I don't have air conditioning, so my glasses are getting steamed up. Sorry. 8 years as CEO at Blat Lapido, a Salesforce platform partner. Her company, Cinch, founded in 2017, pivoted, our favorite pandemic word, to Power Shop in NYC, an online marketplace that connects with local shops in Brooklyn and Manhattan, aggregating goods for same-day delivery to New Yorkers. Shopin.nyc makes it easy for New Yorkers to help small businesses thrive and shop Brooklyn, not Bezos. I love that tagline there, Maya. And the site now features over 100,000 products and has been covered in CNN, MarketWatch, The Wall Street Journal, and more. And when I was speaking to Maya the other day, I said, I hear Frank Sinatra in the background. New York, New York. If you could make it there, you can make it anywhere, because keep an eye on Maya. She's going to be rolling out this amazing concept throughout the United States. Let me just check my text because I want to see if there's something going on with Evelyn. I guess we'll just move on, and when she pops in, we'll introduce her, and that's how we roll, right? All right. Well, I'm going to start with you, Jess. So you can unmute yourself, or do I have to unmute you? Okay,
Yeah,
you could do
I
it.
did.
Excellent. Excellent. So Jess, what inspired you to create this book, The Rejection That Changed My Life? I mean, to write a book about no is, wouldn't necessarily be, well, it's not particularly positive, right? In lots of ways.
Yes, one would think. Yeah. Well, so it started because a few years ago, during a reorganization at Smith, where I've worked since 2006, I applied for a different job, a little bit of a bigger job at the college, running a major center. And in applying, I had to really put myself out there among colleagues. Like first of all, I wrote a 3-page cover letter with my vision, but I was also interviewed by colleagues, and I had to give a public talk for colleagues. And just to give you a picture of how nervous I was, I actually hired this outside speaking coach to help me with my public talk. And on the day that I went actually to another town to have her coach me, I then drove back to Smith, parked my car, went to another practice session with colleagues, and then just went to my office. And at the end of the day, when I came back to my car, I'd left it running all day. Like I just was really a wreck. And and then I found out that I didn't get the job, that someone else got this job. And because it was so public, my putting myself out there, I felt, kind of embarrassed and humiliated, but I also felt this little bit of relief, this sense of relief at not having to actually do the job.
Mm.
And so it just was interesting to me, the complexity of that. And I wondered if maybe there was something in rejection stories that was kind of complicated. And I had published a previous book about women and mistakes at work. And so I pitched this to my agent, and Penguin Random House was interested. And so it was published in April. And I interviewed nearly 30 women about their experiences of rejection at work.
Well, it's a fantastic book. And so speaking of which, it's one of those books that I think anybody should read, men, women. I think it is a great gift for, a high school grad, even probably for, or even a little bit younger, because there's the college rejections coming in, and then there's the job rejections. And by the way, we actually made fun of these when I was in college. We actually had our ding letters. We would post them on our on our the doors to our rooms. So like who could collect more ding letters? But it was, I think we tried to make humor out of something that was a little painful. So yeah. So you've you've kind of taken advantage of of that concept that you experienced, right?
Mhm.
Um, so in interviewing all these women, has it like even furthered your experience with the word no and the possibilities around it?
Yeah, it has. I mean, it's helped me. It's definitely helped me. I mean, there were themes that emerged, in these interviews, and I divide the book into themes. One is that rejection is a muscle, and the more you practice putting yourself out there, the easier it gets. And there's a story of a woman in my book who, Caitlin Kirby, who's an environmental social scientist, and she actually went to her dissertation defense wearing a skirt made of her rejection letters as a way to model for her peers that like this was part of the path of getting a doctorate, that your papers get turned down and your grant applications get turned down. And there were a lot of people who talked about building muscles for dealing with rejection. An entrepreneur, Polly Rodriguez, who started the company Unbound, she talked about getting like 100 rejections before she started to get her seed funding. That's a women's sexual wellness company. She's really cool. I also started to hear the theme of rejection as data. So helping people know how to pivot. Like if you look at the rejection and Polly, for example, was not getting funding at these big pitch competitions in New York. So she thought, okay, I'm going to go to a smaller pitch competition. In a certain way, she was using those rejections as data. There's a psychiatrist in the book who actually, as a mother of a toddler, applied to med school and was the only person in her study group who didn't get in anywhere. She was rejected from 17 schools. She ended up having another baby, reapplying, and ultimately, getting in. And now she's a successful psychiatrist. But she really used the data about like, okay, what did she need for her application? Like, okay, maybe she needed better MCAS scores. And I think that's part of what we can do. And for me, I've really taken to heart this idea of like work toward getting rejections. That's part of, there's this comedian who worked toward 100 rejections and a lot of good things came out of it. And so I've been doing that lately with my own writing. I've been just like, I'm going to set, okay, the rejection comes in, I'm going to send it back out.
Oh, I love that. That's really good. So it's such a positive twist. What I love about your book too is part 5, which is your rejection workbook. And so share that, because I think that for some people, reading about other people sometimes is still keeping them separate, right? Because oh well, that happened to them, but that never happens to me. But you've given them a little toolkit so that so when you experience that, or just that you're going to experience it. So why can you just give us a brief overview of those exercises and things.
Yeah. So these exercises, some are adapted from work I've been doing at Smith for the past 15 years. And some are from other people. This woman, Laura Wong at Harvard, she has a Get 10 No's exercise she does with her grad students at Harvard Business School. So that's in there. I have a chapter on an exercise that has to do with self-compassion. You may be familiar with Kristen Neff at UT Austin and her research showing that kind of like our natural impulse, many of us, to beat ourselves up or talk to ourselves and like, how could you have failed in this way? Get it together. It's actually unhelpful and it's not a generative way to move forward. And she has these steps of self-compassion. And I also include some of the exercises have poems associated with them. And there's these poems I've used with students forever that engage students in writing about themselves in the third person. And it turns out that's really resonant with the research of Ethan Kross. You may have seen his new book, Chatter, which is about how your inner voice can shape your path and how you feel about your path, and you can change your inner voice. And one of the ways he recommends is to write in the third person about yourself. And so there's an exercise that invites people to do that, either in a way to like prepare for rejection or to get past a rejection.
Well, great. I mean, it's such great advice. And for, the theme of being a webinar, for women in private equity, as issuers who are looking for money, or any of us. I mean, I feel like every single day we're selling, right? It doesn't matter what it is that we're doing. It's we're selling ourselves, we're selling a product. Even if you're not directly in sales, there's the potential to hear a no on some level. And so I just think that your perspective is just so helpful, and thank you for taking the time to interview all those amazing women, and um, you're a great narrator, and sharing their stories. So we're going to move on. It looks like Evelyn has joined. Sorry about the difficulty getting on, but you're here. And so I'm going to introduce you, and then I'm going to go into questions, because I wanted to go to you because you are actually in the process of fundraising, and on the Netcapital platform. And so let me just give you guys a quick introduction to Evelyn Brady Waters, co-founder and CIO of Universe. Evelyn is an executive producer in both the entertainment, content, and advertising worlds. She co-founded the Golden Trailer Awards with her sister in 1999, creating an award show to recognize the best in film trailers. So way to go, Evelyn. I think that's so cool. And we all love those trailers, or we hate them, right? So you created it, yeah, the awards. So, and I mean, 21 years, that's amazing. And 106 categories. That is so cool.
It started at 19 and expanded over the years. So
wow, 19 to 106. Wow. Yeah, no, that's just really neat, because I think, yeah, truly, those trailers are sometimes more memorable than the movie. So anyway, you're also a commercial producer, and it worked independently and in collaboration with top creative agencies and many iconic brands. Your newest venture, Universe, is a personalized movie and show recommendation platform to browse streaming services in one app, a channel guide for the streaming universe. So welcome. And I'm so glad you're here. I was worried. I'm like, where is she?
oh, you have no idea. But I think that's just like what we all go through, is like life can throw a million things unexpectedly in your way. And that's part of the no. You just have to, pile through. You got to get through and soldier on, and, beat whatever is put before you can even get to approaching somebody for the no,
Exactly.
Everything.
So given your experience in entertainment, right? Like, to me, that seems like the biggest world of no.
Yes, absolutely.
So share with us and our audience, what you learned from your journey as in that industry, and what the takeaway from that now as an entrepreneur.
No, thank you. That's a great question. So going back 21 years now, all the way back to the very beginning, what business did we have? My sister and I, we're two filmmakers who wanted to shoot a movie, but we ran into a problem, and that problem was we couldn't find these trailer editors, because we were producers, and my sister went to film school, and we're like, so we should find the best editors. Again, who do we think we were to have the best editors just out of film school? And find out that they're anonymous. There's no credit for them at the end of the trailer. There's no credit at the end of the movie, and we're like, let's start an awards for trailers and recognize these people, so in future make it easier for everyone to find them. And so I had a writing partner whose family was in the business, but I wasn't. We're from engineering teacher background, and very mathematical, and those aren't things you do, certainly not things you do for money. So we were, well, let's start an awards for trailers. So we started by saying, who can we get to? And the one person I knew I could get to, it was probably the most famous person I could go for, and I knew him, but you still had to go through the proper channels. So we knew that we needed a very prestigious jury, because we needed to bring people to us to enter their awards. And so we wanted Quentin Tarantino to be on our jury, and my writing partner was Amanda Sorvino, and her sister Mira happened to be dating Quentin. And so I would see him at dinners and holidays at time to time. And and I had actually looked at why would Quentin tell me yes? Well, I know he's got a quirky sense of humor, and he knows that we love trailers, and we went and we got a couple of the yeses on board. Our very first yes was Stephen Woolley, a very well respected director, and a few others that we knew. He'd know he was in good company. And I'm heading off to Cannes, and I put all my eggs in this great letter. And I know Quentin, because I think that's key. You have to figure out why somebody is going to give you a yes. So I sent off a letter, and I followed up right before I was heading to the airport, because I wanted to go make an announcement and let people know we were somebody. And I called his assistant, and he said, "I think I got to tell you no." And I said, "You think you've got to tell me no?" He's like, "Yeah, because Quentin's got a stack of 14 inches thick of requests just like this." So I said, "Oh yeah?" I said, "Just make sure he reads the letter, because I happen to know him, and I think he'd really like this." And he goes, "All right, I will." Go to Cannes, disappointed that I got the big no. Oh well, here we go. But I get back, because this is back in the day. This is 21 years ago. It wasn't like, you could even afford a mobile phone over there. I wasn't a big wheeler. I was probably shouldn't have been there. No, I'm just kidding. But I get back to Quentin's assistant tracking me down, like, hey, is that opportunity still available for Quentin? Are you kidding me? Heck yeah. He's like, because he'd love to do it. And I go, exactly. And so Quentin came on board, and next thing you know, our award show took off because we got press, like BBC Worldwide, NPR, you name it. We were around the world. People Magazine, New York Post, Washington Post. We were everywhere, And it was all from getting that yes, because when you go to ask somebody for something, it's good to have it in your head why they're going to say yes, because then when you insist on you're going to get the yes, they know that you actually have thought it through. You've done research on them, it's good for them, and you're already seeing the yes because you see why they would tell you yes. So you set yourself up for a yes, and more often than not, you get it, or you just keep coming back.
Yeah. Well, hey, you had the no, which was, kind of a body slam, but you didn't shut down, which is really, I guess, another, and what I'm hearing is that you really understood, you did the research behind it. It wasn't just, okay, I know him and he's going to do this for me. You delivered the info. So you really set yourself up for a yes, with an intermediary no.
Yeah.
So how has this really, so let's fast forward to now how you're applying that energy to fundraising for your new idea.
Well, I think it's taking from every yes that you get, how you can apply that to get other yeses. And then, I think in today's day and age, and even with COVID, people are behind, are sitting at their desks, and they are just getting barrages of emails, and it's what makes you stand out, how to create that FOMO. And it's hard, because sometimes it's you're really truly banging your head up against the wall because you're not getting to yes. But and so what we've done is just making sure people actually know our track record. People know that that the market is iffy at best. Some are saying a bubble, and that hey, these girls have been solid in business for 21 years. Now they have a new venture. They're well connected, and even when investors start to think about that, they know they're sitting on a lot of cash. And who do they trust? They trust somebody who they can look in the eye, somebody who's got a track record, somebody that's connected to friends of theirs. And then you're also not getting the no's. Now you're getting people that are connecting you to other people because they are actually seeing that the offering is good for them and it's good for them long term.
Well, I love that you've really twisted no on its head.
Because we'll just never give up. So that's the thing, is one of my favorite things about the Napoleon Hill Think and Grow Rich. It's you will succeed if you just never give up. And then the more thinking you put into that and planning and how to get the yes and the why of why they're going to tell you yes, is going to get you there all that much quicker.
Well, I think that so what a great follow on to Jess, right? So Jess, had a no, and then evolved that into actually creating a book about it, like, and you just really understood that no is just not an option, right? That's like your that's you, and
You might as well say yes, because we'll just keep coming back and wear you down. So.
well, good for you. I think it's great. And I love that you didn't back down from Quentin, and that he was able to get your trailer awards off the ground, and I think it's super impressive, and now you're moving on to taking your energy and your expertise to an area that could probably help a lot of people who have no idea what to watch, right? And your connections in the industry. So we'll be looking to see how you're doing with all your yeses as you raise your funds on Netcapital. All right, well, I think it would be really, really great to move on to I'm thinking Maya. So Maya, as an entrepreneur, rejection, as we're learning, right, can be par for the course, especially when it comes to fundraising. Can you just, share with our participants how you confronted rejection in that setting, or how you are confronting that in that type of rejection from your past experience, and now as you're moving into a big fundraise for shop in New York City?
Sure. Yeah, I would love to speak about it. I listened to Jessica and Evelyn, and I really believe that the decision to go after the no, it's all about you. Like, you need to decide, what is important for you, what you believe on, and now how you take that no, because like for me as an entrepreneur, the no comes from so many areas. Like, to have a successful company, you need the customers to love you. In my case, it's the businesses to love me, the customers, the consumer to love me, um, and the investors to love me, and partners to like it's so many ingredients that you need to put together. Um, and the way that I learned to kind of handle that is, especially with investors, which like make me the most frustrated. Like, I'm very open. I find myself really open to listen to customers and businesses. I love those conversations, but sometimes when I speak with investors, like, I get that in a whole different way, that feedback. Um, and what I decided to do with this audience, first, you need to understand where they come from. Like, a lot of the no's, it's not you, it's them. And I can give some funny examples.
Yeah, let's hear. We'd love to
hear. Like, when I literally started, two of them at the beginning asked me if I'm divorced. And this is an example where you get no, and you also get those questions. And at the first time when I got that, I asked myself, okay, maybe one of them doesn't know how to behave, but he said, okay. When the second one came, I asked myself, let's understand what's going on here. Like, it's much deeper than that. And I then understood that if probably their wife or something like that, or maybe they think about their mom trying to go and build a company, and they need to invest in their company, probably they will tell to themselves like, oh my God, like, no chance that I'm going to take the risk with that. So, so this is a very good example of something like that. It's totally not me. and it's a combination between, in that place is something very like about those specific people, but it really can be also professional thing, like that it's not something that they understand, it's not something that they care about, and when I start to get the feedback, I really like map it to myself and ask. When I get the no, I ask myself, because sometimes the no, you need to listen to the no's. Like I don't believe on not listening to that, but I believe that I need to ask myself, what's the reason for that? And like, and ask myself if I need to make a change based on that no, or no, it's not related to me and I need to continue, and I go to the next one.
I love that you know to pause, right? To take that that chance, that time to reflect, and then that you could actually, you categorize it, and so that, right, either it's like, oh gosh, there's information in the no and I need to change something, or it's them, not me. And that's so important, and I think that's really, really great advice, because I think, because no is a charged word. I mean, rejection is rejection. I mean, it's not like it's something we've been taught, right, how to manage through, and and it could be, for some it could be devastating, and I believe that entrepreneurs have, like, what it takes to deal with no. But it doesn't mean that, I know getting 100 no's is a great exercise, but I mean, honestly, all those rejection letters and stuff at some point could add up to some self-esteem issues. So being able to really analyze it the way you've suggested, I think, is really, really important. And so I really thank you for sharing that. But so it's not just so we've talked about the no's, but there's also, like a silent no. So you had started Cinch, and the pandemic happened, right? And so in a way that created a silent no that you had to actually, create like another opportunity. So talk about how you were able to pivot, as an entrepreneur, with going from what you were doing at Cinch to creating shop in New York City.
Yeah. So I really love to listen to the notes that I get from the customer, because I think those are so important. I think if you don't listen to the no's from the customer, you are going to kill your company. Because this is exactly where companies are not listening to their customers. And, it's very interesting. Like, I all the time tell my team that they are telling us everything. We just need to listen and to execute what they are asking for. And it's amazing to see how it's not obvious to a lot of them. Even, we are talking a lot, how is that to be a customer-centric company. But specifically the pivot that we happened, like our no was the pandemic, like that we had a product that drive people to go to stores, and the stores shut down and we couldn't push the people to the store. And that was interesting, because it's like, you cannot predict that, you cannot think about the situation like that. And what we did is we started to talk with the customers again and understand, like, what is the yes now, how can we help. We worked with small businesses also before, but in a different way. And when we saw the situation and we talk with them and we understand their challenges with the big boxes and in the world of Amazon, because it became like a really big thing, because all of us go just to Amazon, Walmart to get everything we want, and we all try to get a slot to get everything to the door. And from that situation, we literally understood like how we can help them at that. So it was really a process to listen to them. The businesses, some businesses we couldn't help them, like more service businesses, but all the retailers that work with us, we understood that shopping could be a very interesting solution for them. We understood that at the Amazon world, the local businesses don't have any advantage, even if they are very close to the customers, because the way we shop the city is so not convenient. Like, and even if they put e-commerce, we don't want to go to many e-commerce. So we offer them to connect all of them together into one platform. And when they're all of them together, like the people in the city can shop all the stores in the city in one cart, get one delivery to their door, exactly as we get from Amazon, but by just connecting all the stores together. So it was really exciting and we started from a very small pilot. We worked with like 10 businesses at the beginning. We learn like how we are going to combine the technology with the logistic element of that, because we understood that if in the future of this e-commerce, if we are not going to help them to be the first, because to come to the customers, because they don't need planes or trucks or all those big infrastructure like Amazon, because they're already in front of the customer, it's just not accessible.
Yeah.
Their inventory and what it is in the store is not accessible. So we really solve all those problems. And today we have like a big New York City store with around 100 stores, more than 100,000 SKUs in the store. We increase revenue to stores like in $1,000 every month. We help them, they arrive same day to the customer. The customer order from 3 different stores in the city and get everything in one bag. And we are growing New York really fast, and we definitely see that as a platform for every city.
Yeah, well, this is great, Maya.
That we experience.
It's a great, like I said, that was COVID wasn't silent, but it was a silent no, and I to create that pivot is commendable, and it's just for our participants, it's just like be inspired. And I think reading Jess's book is inspiring, listening to Evelyn's perspective. And Evelyn, do you have a question? You're on mute.
Mute.
Sorry, because my computer kept pinging. Sorry. But I think the worst no is the no we tell ourselves, and the no that makes us, not do anything, because we're like, oh no, he's not going to invest in me because of this or that. When really, shut up that voice, because and like Holly Fletcher, who just made a note about doing your research. That's absolutely like, you got to make sure that there's a good fit. Again, so before you go in, why they're telling you yes, and that helps you move forward and get that yes. So absolutely, Holly, that's a great observation. And I think 1,000%. And it's so often people don't even do that. And I know we're all busy, but if you got the appointment, you should really take the time and do the research. You're going to do yourself a favor. Do everyone a favor.
That's
probably
right.
get a yes.
Right. I love it. I love that attitude. This is so inspiring. We're all going to be yes. We're not yes women. We're just getting yeses. I want to move to Jovanka now. And I want to jump to the TED Talk that you gave. And and then we could kind of back into, how you help people as a health coach. But I mean, you did a TED Talk on rethinking failure. So let's, what are some of your suggestions? Because obviously, like we've got Evelyn who just does it. Yes is the only word she knows. Jess, has interviewed women who've made amazing things out of their no's, and Maya knows how to categorize her no's. So let's hear from you. I want to hear all
Sure.
about this.
I think the common denominator to all of our stories is that failure is directly linked to change, right? Either we get stuck, which is a type of change, right? We're stuck in this kind of rut, or we're also either forced to change or inspired to change. But in any of those scenarios, we are constantly moving, we're evolving, we're changing. The key here is to see then that change as a positive thing, as something that happens to us naturally, that is part of our humanity. We are very, very good at rejecting change as something that is scary and not something that we want to deal with and overwhelming. When if we start to pivot, talking about the word that everybody talks about these days, and changing and recognizing that change is part of us. Think about a baby that's learning how to walk. And this is something that I use with my clients all the time. If you see that baby walking and falling, and they look up at you and they smile and they try again over and over and over, they literally fail more times of the day than not as they're learning to walk. But they don't have the subconscious programming yet to think of that as a bad thing. And of course, I'm talking about a tiny little thing, like learning how to walk. But we can technically use that example for everything in our lives. We are in constant changing. Our skin is a different skin every 6 weeks. Our bones are completely different every 8 weeks. Our liver is completely different every 5 months. We are, whether we like it or not, whether we know about it or not, we're in constant changing. So if we can change at a physical level, we can change at an emotional level. We can find a way to look at the tools to help us manage stress, which is a huge component. I think it was Jess that mentioned something about a study done where somebody talked about talking to yourself in the third person. That is another incredible tool that I use with clients all the time. I actually ask all of my clients to write themselves a love letter in the third person and mail it to themselves as if you were literally writing to the person that you love to the most. Because women especially are very good at self-harming when we are trying, because we compartmentalize stress and rejection and negativity very well. We're very good at putting it in a little pocket and dealing with all of our daily stuff. We are the quintessential, project managers, multitaskers, but we are not taking care of ourselves. And that is a significant issue that we all need to pay attention to.
I wholeheartely agree. And it starts with changing our thoughts, right? And and it's what I said in the beginning is yes is really a green light. And if we could shift the way we think, no is actually a green light. If we could shift the way we think about that word, then we shift everything that comes from that, right? So will shift the way we act, right? We shift the way we feel. And then if we start having all those positive emotions, guess what we become? Magnets to, positive things. So I love your, your discussion here about rethinking failure. When clients come to you, just share just a few tips that you would give them, that are easy, actionable, around failure and the stress around having a failure.
Yeah, I think managing stress is key. statistically 70% of all
Yeah.
doctors' visits are actually related to stress issues, whether it is excessive amount of cortisol and adrenaline that will lead to an inflammatory response. Stress is the catalyst to the preventable diseases that we are seeing later in life. And in these days, we're seeing it earlier and early. We're seeing women in their 30s and 40s having severe issues like autoimmune disorders and things like that. And so we have to learn to manage stress. Breathing techniques, to me, are one of the easiest. They seem relatively simple, and a lot of people kind of dismiss them as like, oh, I know how to breathe. The truth of the matter is that most of us don't know how to breathe. And literally we have the ability to reduce stress hormones and increase the feelings of peace and harmony when we actually do stress management, breathing techniques as a stress management tools. I'd like to also remind, especially women, to prioritize self-care. I mean, nobody in their deathbed has said, I wish I worked those 14 hours instead of the 12 hours that I was working. And granted, we are entrepreneurs, we are hustlers, we're building stuff. I am the first person to tell you that I work on average 10 to 12 hours a day. But there is a moment in time in the week or in the month that I said, I'm going to take care of this because this machine that's in front of me, which is the only one I have, is absolutely critical to my success and the success of my business. So if I don't prioritize that self-care, eventually the world will give me what I like to call a smackdown. And hopefully your smackdown is not a life-threatening disease, but we don't want to get there, right? We want to be able to be strong and healthy throughout the process of building wealth and building our communities and our companies. So giving yourself grace is critical when it comes to prioritizing self-care, especially in the age of COVID. I think I mentioned earlier, we are very good at compartmentalizing. You know, we're not stressed out. We can deal with children and work and family and partners and all kinds of other stuff at the same time. And it's okay. We're not going to go to the doctor, or we're not going to give ourselves the 10 minutes that we need to meditate every morning. And then I guess finally it would be just to remind people that proverbial bandwagon that we talk about all the time. I hear people, this is daily, I hear people say, I fell off the bandwagon, and so just went back to my sedentary lifestyle, or went back to my eating whatever it is that I was trying to not eat. Remember that is the journey is called life. And falling that bandwagon is literally falling the bandwagon. It's like I had a flat tire. You change the tire, or you call AAA and they change the tire for you, and then you get back on that wagon and back on the road. So shifting that mentality to recognize, I can choose to see this as a lesson, and give myself permission to, fall off that bandwagon and sit in my couch and eat my ice cream for 3 days. But after the 3 days, I have to get back on the road. I have to figure out how to get back on the road. We all have the tools. We're very good at coming together with new ways of doing things, but we need to give ourselves grace. We need to absolutely take care of ourselves before we take care of others.
What a great close to share with our participants. Really, it really all does come down to taking care of ourselves. And so I have put in the numbers of everybody who registered for our webinar. And I'm going to pull out 3 numbers now, and hopefully you're on, but if you're not, we have number 3 is the first number I pulled out. And then Paige is going to let us know who they are. And then I have number, I just, 7. Wow, I'm getting low numbers. All right, I got to mix these up better. Or the universe is just putting my hand on that. and 65. So whoever was the 3rd registrant, the 7th registrant, and the 65th registrant will be winning a copy of Jess's book from her publisher. And we so appreciate that. So Paige, if you put those in the chat, who they are. And I want to pull Corinne in now, because you got to hear from Corinne, because she's really just she's one of the principal brains behind this whole operation. So, and she's just amazing. So I'd like you to just come in and say hi and welcome and all that other stuff.
Thank you for the lovely introduction, Carol. This panel was so amazing. I just loved hearing all of your anecdotes and your advice. It really hits close to home as a female founder and entrepreneur. Maya, I love the fact that you approach this so constructively, looking for why people are telling you no. It's so important, because you can't get to yes unless you understand why you're getting the no in the first place. That's really great advice. Evelyn, I love the way you twist it around a bit, and before you even ask, why is this person going to say yes, like understanding their motivations and what will help get them to a yes. That's really, really amazing. Jessica, I loved the concept of rejection as a muscle. I had never heard that before, but it's so true that, with practice, you can learn to deal with rejection better and learn how to move forward. That was really fascinating. Jovanka, I love the idea of writing yourself a love letter and sending it to yourself. It's so easy as an entrepreneur to hear so many rejections, as we've heard from all these people on so many levels. And it's really important to be kind to yourself and to give yourself positive messaging. So after this, I'm going to write myself a love letter, and maybe I'll write a love letter to Carol too and send those out. So thank you all so much. This was wonderful.
Yes. Thank you. We find that doing these is so uplifting and satisfying on levels that we can't even tap into while we're conceiving them. But I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Together, we will change the consciousness around how business is done around the, in this country, around the world, and just know that let's take care of ourselves, let's take care of each other, and let's just get to yeses and support each other in all the yeses. So thank you all for joining us today, and I really appreciate you. All right, everybody, take care. Have a great day.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks so much
welcome.
for having us.
You're so welcome.
Great job. Thank you.
Thank you. And I
Thank
think we
you.
put the winners in the chat. So we'll until next time. Our next webinar is in July. Is it the 28th? And guess what we're doing? How to say no.
Good one.
So yeah, figured we do the opposite. So thank you, and have a great rest of your day, everybody. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.